I hereby call the January 2026 annual meeting to order. Pastor Tundiway, if you could please offer us an opening prayer.
God's beloved, let's pray together. Holy and loving God, we pause and we breathe and we remember that your Spirit is as near to us as our breath. We give thanks for all that we have been able to do together and with you over the last year. The experience of doing some new things, adopting statements of purpose, navigating a sabbatical and a summer interim, and seeking to be your people in this time. Gracious One, help us to look back with gratitude and celebration, and to look forward with hope and faithfulness. Bless our time together. Bless our work. Bless us that we may be your beloved community right here in this time and in this place. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Tundiway. At this time, I'd like to call on Chris Mason to give us our year-end treasurer's report, and when he is done, it will require a vote. He is the only person that is not under a time limit today.
Okay. All right. Good morning. All right. This year was pretty good for the how things panned out for the end of the year. Sorry, I was trying not to be too loud. Better? Yes. All right. This year turned out pretty well for 2025 for us. Going into 2025 from 24, we had a over $11,000 deficit. And coming into the donations here on the report, January through December, we're at $189,881. Our budget for the year, we have projected at 180, so we surpassed that. Thanks to everyone for everything you do. And I know time and what everyone else puts in behind the church doesn't show up here. And unfortunately, money helps keep the lights on and the heat on, especially on a day like this, right? But everything that everyone does is very appreciated. So great job on donations, everyone. We did a really good job. On the income piece of it for the year, we finished out at, I can't see, I should bring my glasses. $252,173. We had budgeted for $202,714 on income. Again, really good job, everyone. And I know a large part of that is helpful from the thrifts and gifts portion. They brought in $14,000. Yeah, that's just the estimate. I mean, Eileen will come up and give a more exact information for us, but without them, that's a lot of money. I mean, we would still be over our projected, but think about a small church like this, and getting $14,000 is a huge piece of income for us. So moving further down, the year-to-date income versus donations versus the budget. As I was stating before, $9,881 over what we projected. Like I said, going into 2025 from 24, we are at just over $11,000 deficit. And this year, going into 26 from 25, we're almost $10,000 over what we projected. So well done, everyone. Total income versus what we budgeted, $59,459. And I will note that late in the year, we received a very generous gift from an individual in the church. $20,000 went towards mission and outreach. So it does show up on the donation side. And then when I move down to the expense, there's a few accounts we have in our church that are one for one, right? It's kind of like gravity. What goes up must come down. Mission outreach, in-kind donations, a few of those, whatever we put in, that same amount usually goes out. So going into expenses, if you look at December, we're $48,000. Just over half of that was for mission and outreach. Again, that generous donation we received late in the year, over half of that was for mission and outreach. Part of that donation was that gift was that we spent it all before the end of 2025. So through the year, we spent $251,346, and we had projected a budget of $220,514. Again, if you take away that $20,000 from mission outreach, we really were over by about $11,000-ish. Not a good thing to have, but things keep going up. We sit at those tables trying to figure out what our budget is going to look like and do the best we can to try to predict what may not happen. I know we also had to buy some computers this year. Sometimes we try to predict, what may or may not break. We don't want things breaking, but we try to think about that, right? When we have the trustees in there with us, trying to figure out what we're going to spend our money on and try to be most beneficial for their church. And I think $11,000 is quite a bit of money, but again, mission or there was a generous gift late in the year. Thrifts and gifts really comes in and helps out a lot. Our expenses, year-to-date expenses versus our year-to-date budget, so we were over $30,832. Our year-to-date income versus our expenses, so what we brought in versus what we spent, we are positive $10,826. Again, great year for us. Like I said, last year was not the best year, or going into 25 was not great going in, and this year we did really well, everyone. So thank you all. All right. Our in-kind donations, we had projected a budget of $1,500, and the January through December, we brought in almost $2,500. Benevolence income, January through December. So benevolence, mission and outreach falls in a subcategory of benevolence. So $24,397 came in, and we only had budgeted for $4,000. So great job there. Fundraiser income for the year, almost $3,500, and we had projected $2,514 to come in. So fundraising, great job. I think there's more we can do to help our committees or help our church in general, right? There's quite a few committees that depend on the budget to help see them get through, like the youth or faith formation. I know there's other ones as well, but those are the ones I can think of because that's what they're coming to the top of my head. But coming up with other fundraiser ideas would be great to help out the church to keep us going, because, like I said, without certain gifts, right, and everyone's gift is always needed, that $9,000 could be a negative number. And thrifts and gifts, like I said, has helped out tons with that, right? $14,000. Heading over to the side there, just from the in-kind donations, this is all of our CDs we have. The sale from 832, George Wilson, Extraordinary Gift, and then the clergy renewal grant that Tony Way was using for her sabbatical. And then just below is a snapshot of our checking, savings, and then like our total checking and savings. As you can see, our checking account, SS Other, we have $53,000 in there. A little bit less from last month, right? November, we had 59. Checking account, 160,916, minus $20,000 from November. And again, some of that is due to mission outreach, right? So that big expenditure we had. And then again, our total checking and savings, 559,475 versus November. We have to be cognizant of how we're spending our money. Something we try to do every time we meet. We're always trying to figure out how to be better with our money. And we all practice this at home, right? So thankful to Mission Outreach, and those numbers look scary, right, the minus 20, but again, that was a great donation we received later in the year. So, any questions? Yes. Does it say financial report?
Yeah, the financial report.
Yes. Yeah, so that will have,
All your line items
yes,
spelled out in detail.
correct. Yeah. And when you're looking at that, if you go to like page 1 where it's horizontal, or portrait, landscape, sorry, like this, it'll give you for December 25, it'll say budget, January through December, year-to-date budget, and annual budget. And just a quick note, the budget section, it just takes it for the month, right? So if we say we're going to spend $12,000 in a year, the calculation just comes out as $1,000 for each month, right? For simple math. And there's a few that just come out. We have a few accounts that come out semi-annually, quarterly, or maybe just yearly. So it might be zero for quite a few months now. Sometimes there's a big number that looks over the budget, but that's not. If you look towards the annual budget versus what we actually spent, the January through December, it's usually pretty accurate. You're welcome. Any other questions? Vote? Do you want to call for the vote, or you want me to?
Ask for someone to,
Okay.
and was that just the treasurer's report?
Just the treasurer's report, yep.
Okay. If I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Rhonda has moved, and we have a second from Eileen. Discussion or question? Any discussions? No discussions? All those in favor say aye. And folks in Zoom land, raise your hand if you, thumbs up? Okay. All right, motion carries. Now the budget.
All right, the budget. First off, I want to thank everyone who helped out with the budget. There's lots of moving pieces, lots of people that come in and help out. Karen Chakowski, Dawn Briggs, Craig and Kathy Byerly, Eileen Walker, Michael Shoemaker, Mary Eddie Stewart, Tundy Way has helped out, Daniel Gardner has jumped in to help in substitute, and Stacy Henning has helped out. I reach out to Stacy quite often, asking questions periodically about what's this, what's that. And then especially towards the end of the year, when we start getting those notifications that something's going to increase, right? Postage is going to go up, utilities go up. That just always happens, and that's something that we need to be cognizant of when I bring that to our meetings. And on page 4 of the annual report, kind of in the middle there, is our story, the budget. I want to run through that because it's pretty impactful stuff. And I mentioned it before a few times, and I'll do it again. Without last year, right, or maybe say 2024, our $11,000 deficit turns into a $25,000 deficit. The $13,000, $14,000 they bring in a year really makes a huge difference. And I know Tony Way mentioned it right at the end about needing volunteers. And it's not just the money they bring in, it's what they do in the community, the way they help out. And I know we have people that join our Sunday mornings with us that have come from Thrifts and Gifts. So it's amazing work they do. Thank you all. Number 2, our operating expenses make up 85% of our budget. Salary, utilities, right? Again, keeping the lights on, keeping the heat on or AC going, maintenance, our conference dues. There's so much that goes in that there's only, at the end of the day, there's only a handful of lines that we can increase or decrease without impacting the church drastically. It kind of goes back to, the fundraising, right? And number 3 on the bullet there, making our money work for us, trying to fundraisers or figure out ways that we can do more with what we have to try to increase our income would be greatly helpful with our budget. Again, number 4, right, talks about doing fundraising. Number 5, spoiler alert, we're giving our people raises this year. Yeah, we didn't get to last time, but we're doing it this time. That's something that everyone agreed to, that we need to figure out a way to do that. We got a great gift this year to put towards our giving our people the raises that they deserve. But we have to look to next year as well, right? Because that gift isn't going to come every year to make sure that our people get raises. So we'll have to think of ways to keep supporting our staff members, right? Because we love them all, right? I mean, we want to keep them here as long as we can. Maybe that's selfish, and maybe that's just the way it should be, right? You want to love your people and show that you appreciate them. Yeah, we received a great gift, $7,000 combined between all the staff members to make sure that was covered, so our budget looked less scary. Because let's be honest, it gets scary sometimes. Number 6. Over the past years, we've seen our donations steadily drop. And it's by quite a bit, really. I think since 2019 to now, it's like around $60,000 difference in what we have seen. Diane, yeah? Pledging, yes. And things are hard, right? Some of us have lost jobs in the last year. Expenses keep going up. The amount of groceries we spend, if I remember right, from 2020 to now has doubled, or around that threshold. That's a lot of money. and times are tough, and we get that, but we also have to think of ways that we can support our church, and still be able to support ourselves at home. And number 7, again, I touched on it, right? In 24, we ended the year with a $18,000 deficit. Oh, I was saying 11. I don't know why I got that. Not sustainable, right? If you go back to the treasury report and see how much we have in our checking account, that $60,000-ish, and there's more money than that. I'm not going to try to scare you, but we definitely have more money in the bank than just that. So I want to make sure people know, again, that trying to keep our church sustainable is doing what we can to help thrifts and gifts, donations, finding ways we can help cut expenses. If someone's got a great idea, I will always be happy to listen to what people have to say. All right, that's my ramble. Let's get into the numbers now. Oh, this is tiny print. I'm not going to go through every line. I'll let you read that on your own. I'm going to go through some of the big ones, and we'll start at the top and work our way down. Not the very, very last one, but yes. Fundraiser income, part of that is also the grocery income, right? We're hoping, we're budgeted for $4,600. Thrifts and gifts income, $12,000. Probably a little bit low, but again, they shut down for the summer months, right? And who knows how people will show up to spend their money on the weekends as things keep getting increased around us. So we kind of keep it low, and hopefully we'll overperform, right? Donations for 2026, $184,000. A small increase from 2025 budget. Other income, between in-kind donations, parking lot use, and interest from other accounts, $6,250. Mission and outreach, we're going to keep that at $4,000. We have a music department fund of $2,000. They're always willing to take donations. Right, Nikki? Yeah. The continuing education for our minister, she takes classes every year and continues on practicing her love, her passion. And then there's that line right there, the gift to supplement the 2026 pay raise. Benevolence income, special offerings, $2,500. And we're expecting our total income for 2026, $223,350. Was that almost $21,000 more than last year? So again, small increases add up, right? And we're really hoping that there's going to be some generous people again this year to help us out. Down to expenses. Minister, housing went up from 32 to 36. Secatax, salary other, this minister salary itself went up from $29,790 to $31,720.32. That's part of the Secatax, right? And the salary other. And then it's going down to the bottom there to the $6,000 total ministry. $105,000, $682.32. Thank you. I'm not sure how many people know this, but, and I don't think it's private knowledge, but part of the love here is like showing our appreciation, right? Giving those love gifts at the end of the year, giving pay raises. Tony was able to get a new house this year, right? I know it's been mentioned before, her own space, and the love we give and the donations we give, the pledges, the increase in pay, help support that. Sometimes having your own space is pretty awesome. Music minister salary, $25,500, a $1,500 increase. Let's see, moving down a little bit, our custodian contract went from $12,000 to $12,500. Office administrator salary, that's for Stacy, from $16,000 to $17,000. Let's see. Total from that line is $71,350. About, from last year, we projected $67,050. What's that? $4,300 more. Again, most of that, you look in there, there's multiple salaries in there. So pay increase goes up, that goes up as well. Trash removal, that actually went down a little bit, which was great. But again, right, we've given everyone a boost in pay. Thrifts and gifts expenses, that's staying pretty close to the same, $50 difference from last year. All right, flipping page to the back. Nursery payroll attendant, from $1,500 to $1,600. Faith formation expenses, that one took a big boost, right, from $450 to $1,000, bringing our Christian education expense from $1,950 to $2,600. Faith formation's going to try to do more with within the church to bring more education, right? Some of the leadership events that happened, the one in February coming up, that's part of the faith formation. We try to get going the, I just brain farted. In the summer, VBS, right? That's something we try to put together as well. So their expenses went up. Office expense from $3,000 to $3,200. Yes. I could, but it fluctuates. I'm just trying to show what we projected from last year. The question was, do I want to show, compare what we brought in versus what we budgeted? Yeah, the actual versus what we. Yeah, budget the budget. And that's a good question, right? Because we start pretty early. I think this past year we started doing budget meetings in March. And not much really happens in those first few months, right? There's kind of hard to tell. Because if you think about it, by the time we start working at it, everything is a month behind, right? So by the time we get to June and July, we're already halfway through it, and we can really start narrowing down what we're looking at. And then when we start getting into the later months is when things start getting fun. It's fun. It's fun, a good word, Michael? Shaking your head? No? No? Okay. Yeah, that's when we start really getting down to the nitty-gritty, right? The pieces start falling into place, and we can really see what's going on. And we're trying to compare the budgets, right? Because we try to see what we did, what was going on. And sometimes we're pretty spot on, right? $11,000 difference in the expenses. When I look at that, it's like $50 here, $100 there. When I go through each line, it's not big jumps, but it adds up again, right? You're welcome. The worship piece, that went up. So last year we had budget 450, right? It was slightly over, so we went up to 750. I know there's talk, and during the budget process, I talked to different committees, talked to the trustees, I talked to the youth group, I talked to Stacy, trying to figure out what's going on. We have someone from the music on the budget committee as well, trying to figure out what's going on the coming years to project what we can, try to project what the budget's going to look like. And things come up, right? There's going to be new computers bought this year, or at least one, I think. So part of that jump from 450 to 750 is increase in supplies, right? So if you think about what they do there for the worship piece, it's the wine, there's lots of pieces they're moving there. Telephone, internet, alarm, AED, utilities, postage. Those are pretty set items. Pat? Yeah. The question from Pat was about AED. That line is a 0 for what we spent in 2025. I don't know why we didn't spend money. Yes, yeah. I don't know why it didn't, and that might be something that maybe it went into a different account by accident. But yeah, it's $320 is what we're projecting for this coming year. And we have projected for 300 this year, or 25, sorry. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing up. It might be, like I said, that. Right. Yeah, I'll check with Stacy and see what happened there, because someone has come in and checked on it a couple times.
I know I keep getting pads and batteries for replacement pads and batteries. They haven't given them to us for free. I would expect that.
Yeah, so the batteries need replacing, and as Greg has mentioned, they're not free. So kind of summarize there. So the telephone, down to the miscellaneous. Let's see, utilities and telephone. So if you look, telephone went up from 1,500 to 34, but utilities went from 12,000 to 8,800. There was an item that was in utilities that should have gone to, that is being moved to the telephone and internet piece. So that's why that's why telephone and internet doubled, but then there's also that drop from utilities. Moving down, the last one, property, liability insurance, workers' comp, guest minister, conference dues, conference meetings. Again, something that Tony Way sneaks off to and goes does meets with other congregations, whether it's local or whether she's able to Teams meeting or go visit a different location. In-kind donation expenses, benevolence. And actually we were running a deficit until late in the year, so I had a current deficit in there, but as you can see, it's blank now thanks to generous gifts late in the year. So that's awesome. So those last two lines there, from telephone all the way down to current deficit, our projected budget for 2026 is $49,420. Couple $1,000 difference, less than from what we had budgeted last year. Our total expenses for 2026, $234,552.32. Versus last year, we had budgeted for 222. $12,000 difference, right, in expenses that we projected for last year versus what this year, putting us at a deficit for the end of the year of $11,202.32. Like I said, right, there's 85% of this on the expense side is pretty fixed. And we tried chipping away at every little bit that we could to keep expenses low. $11,000 deficit for the coming years, again, right, scary. But we have great people here, and it was proven last year, and I think we can cut that down and not have a $11,000 deficit this coming year. Any other questions?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Motion to approve. Diane?
Bigger moves, second.
Craig Biley, second. Any other discussion? Questions? All right, Zoom.
All those in favor say aye, or
Do we want Zoom?
thumbs up from Zoomville. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Chris. Short guy. Yeah. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call up the divine Rhonda from the nominating committee. In the first order of, come on up. Are there any additions to those that are printed or have been emailed out? Yes. You need to microphonate. Are there any additions?
I move that we add Chris Mason as a nominee for the Vision and Ministry Discernment Committee.
Can we get us, and is Chris agreeable to that? Yes. He is agreeable to that. Can we have a second to add him? Craig Biley seconds that. Okay. So that is an addition.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Rhonda, take it away. Let me get by you.
Well, on behalf of the nominating committee, Craig Biley, Lee Daniels, and Allie Mason, where'd you go? Oh. I would like to, and me, I would just like to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so rewarding in many ways to have this view of how incredibly engaged our congregation is, not just for the elected offices, of which there are many, but in so many other ways that you all give to in service to the life of the church, to each other, and to our broader community. So just want to say thank you and much gratitude. There is an additional acknowledgement I'd like to make that's not among our elected positions, but Allison Gerke has agreed to serve as historian. And this is going to be especially salient, I think, in this year that as our anniversary year. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I will turn this over to Craig. Or do I? Oh, do I take the? Oh, it's me? I wasn't prepared for this. Okay. So if you will refer to your annual report, the ballot is in there. And I would ask for a motion to accept the nominations. Kathy Michalski moves to accept our ballot. Chris Mason has seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, all say aye or thumbs up. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much.
One question. You meant the anniversary. What year is it for the church?
125.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Well, this is the time you've all been waiting for. This is the moderator's report. The exciting thing can't happen because Craig Jump is at home sick, and he was going to give a 105-minute presentation to you. And so rather than that, I'm going to substitute and see if I can find what Craig was going to give. And it's long. So I prepared, and we're doing it, it was given the choice, the chairs of the different committees and boards said, prepare your written ones to be included in the annual report, and most everybody did, and said, don't come up here and repeat what you did, give a brief overview, 1 to 2 minutes. So as far as the moderator report, it said we learned it all during children's time. And so let me be brief. And I said, recently, during children's time, Pastor Tundiway was discussing the Love Advent candle with the children. Tundiway asked the congregation about how the community shows love, and the answer was justice. Justice is about fair behavior, treatment, and genuine respect for people. So I want to say 2 things. Injustice is a bad thing, and I stand with Minnesota. And the other thing, all those people that were on this, on those committees that Rhonda just talked about, that have served in the past and are serving in another, we talk about members. And in this church, the word member is definitely a verb. That is my report. How'd I do on that little egg timer, Craig? And now we have the pastor's report.
Sometimes my report gives us, I think I took my, sorry, I turned this off. Turn it back on, see how that goes. Sometimes my report is sort of a looking back on the year, and we have so much wonderful things to look back on this last year and so much to celebrate. And for me, a huge piece of that is the sabbatical that we had over the summer, and what that was for me and my family, but also what it was for our congregation. And that experience of helping to form a new and younger pastor, and what it was to be church together kind of without the person we're used to having lead us on Sunday morning. And so that's a tremendous celebration as we look back over the last year. I'm really excited as we look to the coming year. It's been mentioned before. November 1901 is when our congregation was founded, 125 years ago. And so the opportunity to look back and celebrate that history and celebrate sort of the legacy that we have brought forward with us, to look at our present moment and how we are in this time. Another big celebration from this last year is the statements of purpose that we adopted in May of this last year, and the ways that those guide us as we think about our present and also looking forward. And so that next piece of looking back, celebrating the present, and then looking forward and asking the question of what is the legacy that we are continuing to lay the groundwork for. And so a lot of how I'm thinking about the coming year, those are sort of the three things for us to hold, weaving together past and present and future. And I'm really excited and feel really blessed to be able to think about doing that together, in particular in this moment. And I'm grateful for all of the ways that we pray and work together and the collaborative nature of ministry within this congregation. Thanks. Oh yes, Allie, a question.
It just came to mind, in our celebration of 125 years, is there any protocol or any instructions or hints that, oops, I'm sorry, for our celebration on the church 125, is there any protocols or hints or instructions about opening the cornerstone?
I don't know anything about the building's cornerstone or possibilities for opening it. We are looking for folks to serve on a planning committee. We have a few people who have already volunteered to serve on that planning committee, but that question, I think, appropriately will land sort of within that planning committee of, could this be part of what we do and what would that look like? Great question. Thank you so much. So that, again, if you would like to help plan that celebration for November, please come and talk to me. Any other questions? Thank you.
Ben, could you bring me that?
There you go. Yeah.
I'm just going to be up and down. Okay, Art. Okay. Our next speaker from the trustees, Craig Biley.
Friend here that calls me Brian. Brian Kukis and I are co-chairs of the trustees. Very quickly going through it, you can read some of the highlights of what we did for the year. Big theme this year was kind of safety. Church safety maintenance is always a thing we do. But some of the things we did for safety was all the exit signs, we replaced them. And these are things you don't normally think of. And we took a look at a lot of those kind of things. The exit signs we had were getting old, falling apart. When you went to change the batteries, the cases broke. So we replaced all those. Newer LED lights, they're brighter. God forbid we have an emergency where we need to use them, and the batteries should last longer in those. We had room numbers installed. Alan Lebsack took the initiative to label, and you can see there's an S1 over there. All of the areas have been marked so that if there is an emergency in the building, it will be easier for the emergency responders to know exactly where to go. We changed our fire alarm company. It had been quite a long time since our old provider had even paid attention to us. Our contract had expired a while back, and they never told us. So we found a new company, worked through a couple things with them. We have an old system. It was installed in the 80s, 90s, somewhere around then. It was not compliant with our new, internet communication, where we have the phone and everything over the internet. So we had to have some equipment installed. And it is now working properly, and apologies to Thrifts and Gifts, who had to put up some false alarms for a while that would come in. But that's all been resolved, so that's another piece of, very important safety, things we don't think about. So building maintenance, always an issue. We've got a building, it's not quite 125 years old, but it's been there for a while, so maintenance is something we're always very keen on. With budgets that we watch, we try to be very conservative in what we spend, and support we get from volunteers in the church who help us with maintenance saves us so much money that we don't have to hire contractors. And I need to call out two people that I know don't like a lot of attention, but they're going to get it. One is Bernie Depperschmidt and Brian Kukis, who are tirelessly, constantly working to keep this building in good shape. The snow we had yesterday morning, there were texts going around about the snow, and I told, I chimed in a text, hey, I'm going over to my shop in Johnstown at about 8 o'clock, so I'll, come sweep, shovel the snow. I got here, Brian had already done it. He started about an hour earlier and had already taken care of it. So many things happen behind the scenes that we don't even know about that just keep this place going. One thing I do want to mention, since we're talking about the building too, is stained glass windows. For those of you who have been in the congregation for a while, it has been 15 years since we redid the windows and we got the historic grant and did a lot of good things around the building. So I arranged with the company that did them to come and do an inspection on them this year. And he was amazed, and this was the company that did them and came out and did an inspection. He was amazed at the condition of our windows and the fact that we do not have to spend anything to maintain them or repair them at this point in time. So, and they're such an important part of this church. So that was just a beautiful thing. One big thing that we just resolved in December is we are going to be buying walkie-talkies for communicating during emergencies if we need to. So there are 6 walkie-talkies are going to be purchased, so there will be one up here at the pulpit. Trustees will have a couple in the back. There will be some downstairs to alert nursery folks or Sunday school folks if something needs to be done. And that's going to be funded by donations from 3 people. So that's a huge move forward in the safety of our kids and other congregants. And the last thing I'll just mention here is our piano and our music program that we love so much. The piano's getting very old. It's at the point where it cannot be repaired anymore. And the tuner said basically, its life is over. It has served us well. So we are going to be getting a brand new Steinway piano at some point, generously funded by donations from Bernie Depperschmidt and then from the George Wilson Fund. So our already wonderful music is going to become even more beautiful, and I'm sure Nikki's probably not too excited about playing on a Steinway, right? Just a little bit. So that's something to look forward to, and in 2026 we'll continue looking at maintenance and ways to keep our beautiful building going, and it will play into our celebration, absolutely, I'm sure. Brooklyn.
Is the new piano going to be also a grand piano, but also a fun?
It's going to be. It's not going to be a full grand piano. I think it's a studio grand is the term. Yeah, about what it is. It's between a baby grand and a full grand. Full grand piano wouldn't fit, so probably the same size. Yes, Nikki.
That will save us a lot of tuning because we've had to get this tuned every month for the last year, and it's still like that.
Okay. So, and I think we've actually had people come in visiting the congregation that have kind of noticed that it doesn't sound quite right. So it's gonna be a beautiful thing when we get that. So, any other questions? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Craig, and I'd like to congratulate myself for being so much shorter than the trustees' report. Karen Jazowski out in Zoom land. Do you have a report, a brief report for us?
Yes, I do. I'm going to take as long as Craig Jump was supposed to. Just kidding. Can you? There is one thing already in the annual report from Daniel and Sarah that they have already reported on, but on behalf of the Faith Formation Board, I would like to include some additional information to that report. We'd like to thank Jenna Votel for all the dedication to our little ones in the nursery, and if anyone is willing and able to help her, she is always interested in having helpers. To Dana Stanky and Kim Liebran for their loving devotion to our Sunday school folks and the children there. We wanted to let everybody know this last summer we opened our space, the fellowship hall, this past summer for the night to about 30 plus youth from the Disciples of Christ West Des Moines Christian Church. They were a youth group coming through doing their mission trip. And then we had several, Chris already mentioned that we are asking for a little bit more increase in budget for adult education and other educations. We did have several adult book studies that took place. So we'll be having more of those. And then the Faith Formation Board for this next year, we have some leadership training that's going to happen next month. And then we are also going to have a grief group that will be starting very soon. And then our big push for this 2026, and some of you have already heard about this, we'd like to get a Christian youth minister hired as part of our on-staff needs. So serving on the board this year is Chris Mason, Todd Rewalt, Jennifer Puff, Dana Stanky, and co-chairs are Daniel Gardner and myself. So if you have any questions or you want to include anything for us to do for adult study, please let us know. And I think I had about 90 seconds there. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks, Karen. And by the way, for anybody that's from Michigan, it's -4 in Grand Rapids right now. So it's balmy here in Loveland, Colorado. Eileen Walker, Thrifts and Gifts, you're on the clock. Thrifts and Gifts, I can't say enough about what you do for the church. Thank you so much.
Thank you for saying that. Down? Okay, I'm Eileen Walker, talking about Thrifts and Gifts, and I can't believe that it was 3 years ago, January of 2023, that Dawn Briggs and I sat down and decided there was going to be a thrift shop, and we got it sort of organized, and we opened in June. And now, 3 years later, we have 6 people on a management board, which is Dawn and I, Linda Carpenter, Mary Stewart, Karen Schwolz, and Kathy Biley. And a wonderful team of volunteers that many are not even part of our congregation. So we're doing really, really well. We make a lot of money, and that's great, but we are also incredibly passionate about the fact that this is a ministry of this church. And we do outreach, and we bring friendship to people in the wider local community, and it really is important, and especially in this time when there's a lot of negativity going on. We bring smiles and hellos and everything else, and that's incredibly important. And the people that are part of our team are wonderful. Yes, we make lots of money, and I know a lot of you can't volunteer to help. You can't be here, but you can help in many, many ways. One is you can come in and shop on a Friday and Saturday, or one of our new quarterly Sunday morning shopping during fellowship. And the other thing is we desperately need donations. So Tandy Way talked about it, Chris talked about it. We need donations of clothes, jewelry, housewares, any of that kind of stuff. Drop it off Sunday morning when we're open on Friday or Saturday, and you can even contact one of us and we'll arrange to pick it up. So thank you very much for your support, the support of the congregation, and the support of the board. So thank you. Did I make it? Was I okay?
A most excellent presentation and very timely, I might add. Well, Craig Biley, you seem to have really been the one that took a lot of time. Is there anyone else that I missed that wanted to do a presentation as a board or committee chair? All right. With that, we are ready for the closing song, Blessed Be the Ties That Bind.
It's number 286 in your hymnal. We will sing just the first verse, and I'm going to invite us to form a circle around the sanctuary.
By the way, it's 50 minutes till kickoff, so we did pretty good. We probably would have been out of here 10 minutes ago.